Okay. Are you ready to get going?
Sure.
Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles. And at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So let's eat. I'd like to welcome our guest, Jonathan Flanagan. Jonathan is a Los Angeles-based comedian, writer, and actor. He is best known for his stand-up comedy appearances that deliver a unique style of alternative and mainstream comedy, which stem from the start of his career in improv, shout out to improv, at UCB, IO West, and Second City, RIP IO West. I have questions. Actually, RIP Second City, Hollywood as well. We have a lot to catch up on. As a touring comedian, Jonathan has graced international stages, most recently the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, with other major performances at the San Francisco Sketch Fest, Gilda's Laugh Fest, the world-famous Comedy Store, I know a little bit about that place, and Ice House Pasadena, where he hosts Trigger Warning, LA's most and least offensive comedy show. And so excitingly, in 2023, Jonathan released his debut stand-up comedy album, Dumber Than I Look, on RCG Records, which has been featured on Sirius XM, which is so exciting and takes a ton of work. I better know Jonathan from meeting him right now in real time on Zoom, which is how we're doing things these days. So, Jonathan, how long have you been a comic? How was dropping your debut album? How was Fringe? Tell us all the things.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
It was all of it has been the best and worst.
That's so honest.
That goes for everything.
Life.
Fringe especially. Fringe, I've wanted to go. That was 2018 is when I went to Edinburgh, and it was the experience of a lifetime. And every year I want to go back. And every year that I don't go back, every August, I'm so glad I'm not there. It's so relieving to not do it. But every year I'm like, well, I got to go back. Let's go. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to go. And then when it doesn't happen, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not doing it. It's just It's the most stress and most fun I've ever had. Both.
I have to interrupt because I know I've asked other questions. We'll go back to them, but I want to hyperfixate on Fringe because I have been as a guest. I've not been as a performer. And it was a goal of like, I'd really like to go there. And then I realized the budget has to be about $35,000. And so I want to understand how you did it. And did you take a one-person show or did you do stand-up? Like, what'd you do?
Yes. So I did So I actually went with 3 other LA comics. We all shared a flat together. My friend Justin Madsen is a really funny comic. He's actually really good at like the whole logistics, planning, everything. Like I think like his passion would be like a travel agent. Like he would do that for fun if he could. So he's good at. So he was able to like find the flat, and I'm like, oh great, I'll just give you the money. Like I don't want to deal with that. That's also hard because there are times when you hear about people like who got screwed, who like sending money across overseas and stuff, and you'd think you have a place, and you get there and you don't have a place, and stuff like that. So that part is good, or taken care of a little bit. I also was able to rent my apartment out here, so I didn't have to pay double rents. So that definitely helped out.
Yeah.
I was able. I just found a friend of a friend who needed a place, so I subleased my place for a month since I was going to be gone for a month. So I did only have to pay 1 rent versus I'm sure a lot of people might pay 2 rents or who knows how they do it. And then the airfare was whatever airfare is to go to Europe. And then as far as the shows, I was making the money that I was spending. So I was making like my food and my drinking money, every night. So that kind of like worked out. So it's pretty much just the rent and the airfare I had to do. It was my first time, so I wasn't sure exactly how it all works over there. Going back, it would be a little more lucrative or less of a financial loss because now I kind of got the run of things and understand that it's a lot of things about merch. So I did the free Fringe. So there are fringes. The one Fringe you can do where you sell the tickets, and so you kind of like know what money you're making. And then there's a free Fringe where you're not allowed to sell tickets, but you do what they call like a bucket pitch at the end of the show, where you kind of like, hey guys, if you like the show, please drop some money in the bucket. And then that has a lot to do with merch. So you're like, hey, you throw £5 and you get a free sticker. Like I have a friend, Kurt Smith, he has a book that he's published and that talks about his son who's autistic, and then he has a lot of comedy that deals with that. And so he kind of puts that together, like, hey, put £20 in and you get a copy of the book. And so that merch kind of thing kind of helps, and so that works out a lot. And then, so yeah, you're making the money every night. You're doing shows. I took off 1 day a week. So you're doing shows 6 nights a week. So it's like that show, I make the money, I take the money from that show and I use that for that day or the next day for eating lunch and drinking booze and things like that. So it worked out. It was fine. It didn't break my bank or anything. I know other people that have not as good experiences. Like I think I only canceled one show for lack of audience. I think there's only two people there in the audience that night. So it's the only show I canceled the whole run, the whole month. Where like they say the average audience is three people. So
Yep.
like I lucked out and I did very well. I had some shows I sold out, had to turn people away. So I had a good experience, luckily. It's not always that, but it is the most stress. Imagine how hard it is, how difficult it is when you produce a show, just one show. You're doing that every single night, and you're stressing out about everything. Are we going to have people there? Is going to be audience, this and that? And so then it comes together, and it's successful that night. Like, oh, great, that was great. And it's like, oh wait, I got to wake up and do it exactly again tomorrow. Again, the exact same thing. Find people to get audience in there, make sure I'm doing well, all that stuff, and then. Also, throughout that time, you're doing your own show. You're producing your own show every night of the week. And then you're running around doing as many spots as you can everywhere else. So I think the most I did in one day was 5 spots. And so you're just walking around. And you're exhausted because you're jet lag. It's just crazy. It's so much fun, but it's so much of a stress and the hassle. I think I did about 69, 72 shows, I think something around there, sets, between my own every night, 6 nights a week, and then jumping in other spots that you can do. So it's nonstop.
Was it a produced show, like top to bottom, full hour, or were you just riffing and doing stand up for the Free Fringe?
No, my show was a produced show. It was me doing stand up, and then other shows are different things. Some are like more game show type stuff that stand up involves. Some are riff. There's all kinds of different things. I did one set. That was the first time I did a fully clean set. I think I did 30 minutes clean or 30 minutes, which I never done. So that was the first time I did that, which was cool. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I want to go back.
Did you go with the intention? I think this is where a lot of people end up disillusioned. Did you go with the intention of, I'm going to sell a TV show. This is my Fleabag moment. Or were you kind of like, I just want to get the reps in. This would be fun to say I did it.
Yes, I did not go. I did not have, the people in Europe definitely they know what Fringe is, and it's a whole thing. I know people I met there that they do the whole Fringe circuit. Like they're in Brisbane, they're in Australia, and then they're around, and then do Edinburgh's like the pinnacle at the end of the season. And they make a living just doing Fringes around Europe and everywhere else different in the world. I didn't go with that. I went just to do stand up and just get reps kind of thing. And I think also that's why I feel like it's a success and why I enjoyed it is because I did exactly that. I probably got more stage time that month than I would get all year long.
Yeah.
Every year. It was amazing. It was great. I definitely grew and stretched my legs and I did an hour for the first time there for the most part. Like I said, my first time I ever completely clean for 30 minutes, things like that. So I just went just to perform and just to have the experience. And like I said, now that I know the lay of the land and everything, it's okay, cool. I could go back with a little more intention of specific things. But no, I didn't do it wasn't like a one-man show kind of thing where like Fleabag kind of was, or like a lot of people, they go with a theme every year. Like, okay, this hour is this theme, and they go and they do it, and then next year they come back a whole new theme, and they build an audience that way, and they come back every year and stuff. That's how a lot of the Europeans do it over there.
Yeah,
which is cool. But I was just going for stand up.
I think that's great. And I think you had the right mentality because I've seen there was Anthony DeVito is a comedian friend of mine, and he was over there doing an incredible one-person show about his dad being chopped up and murdered because he was part of the mob. And it's like the premise. Yeah, it was such a good show. And me and my friend Lisa were there, and we were howling, crying, laughing because we thought it was so funny. But the local audience that was there, it was crickets. And he came up to us afterwards and he said, y'all, this has been every single show. If there's an American in the audience, they laugh. And he's like, man. And if it's not, they don't. He's like, I think they think I'm lying or they don't get it or whatever. And he was really disappointed in general, not to speak on his behalf, but he was very open about this, about how it cost him an enormous amount of money. And if he had known better, he would have hired like a publicist to do the like posters and stuff as soon as you come up from the tube. Did you have a publicist like hitting the ground for you, or because it was Free Fringe, it was less of a crisis?
I didn't do that. One of my friends who I was rooming with, he did. I think it was a publicist. I forget what the title was, but he had some type of publicist manager who was doing all that stuff. I didn't go that route. I just wasn't going to expend the money to do all that, just because, like I said, my first time. I was like, I'm just going to do stand up. I have my show. I will the next time. I mean, I don't know about publicists, but I will definitely go all out with the posters and the things like this and try to get on the lists of awards and things like that, because I didn't do any of that, which I think kind of keeps me in the running to be like a first time Fringer because I was so kind of under the radar. But I would definitely do that the next time. But there are, I mean, and I'm not sure what it gets you. I mean, like I said, you hear about people, it's like, oh yeah, I did this, and they get a rep and they know and get awards and stuff. My friend didn't get all of that out of his publicist. I don't know if he feels he got his money's worth, but the big thing is getting, it's so weird. The whole economy is around this fringe. This whole city, the entire economy is based around this fringe. Like places that are not venues, entertainment venues, become entertainment venues. I think the venue I was in was a daycare outside of August, every 11 other months of the year. And then it becomes like a showroom, and they have a bar. They get a temporary liquor license. They have a bar there. Like every place becomes a bar and a venue. All the college students there all become barkers, the flyer for you, and you're paying them $10 an hour, £10 an hour to go and bark. Every house or a flat becomes a rental. Like it's just crazy that the whole economy is based around it. And but yeah, I don't know. I will do the full fringe experience the next time I go, for sure.
Good for you. I mean, you're one of the few that said that you would go back, because I think I went the last week in 2022, and by then everybody was fried. Nobody had their voices. People were just going through the motions. And I was like, ooh, this is, because I was paying attention to how they felt off stage, because I was thinking of doing it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. But anyway, good for you for having done it. I think that's super brave and super incredible. Okay, but now, go ahead.
What was I going to say about that? It is draining. And I was going to go, I actually got offered some dates this past year, but it wasn't a full run. It's just 1 week, or it was the last week or the first week. And it just wasn't, I'm not going to go all the way over there for just the 1 week trip. I'm going to do a full run or nothing at all. And so I turned that down, and it is draining physically, emotionally, and mentally in every way. I remember the last night I was there, I went and saw this comedian, Paul Curry. He's an Irish comic. And just put in perspective of how good this guy was. When I first got there, a friend of mine was hanging out with Ari Shaffir, and they went and saw this person. And then he texted me you got to see Paul Curry. Ari just told him, ran up on stage after the show just to talk to him, told him he has to come to California. It's amazing. And then 2 days later, Jessica Michelle Singleton, also a LA comic, she tweets out, LA, you're doing comedy wrong, Paul Curry. And so everyone's like, dude, this guy got to see this guy. So the last day I was there, I think I went and watched him. And I don't know how to describe it, but it was... I was drained. I was been there in a foreign country. It's damp. It's wet. I'm doing comedy. My nephew's being born while I'm gone out of the country. I'm there alone. It's really weird. It's dark. Who knows how I feel? My girlfriend came visit me. We break up because you're not going to stay together during Fringe. That's not a thing to do. No one's going to stay. No relationship is going to work at the Fringe. That's just what I learned. And everyone will tell you that. It's a terrible idea to have your loved one with you. And so I watched this show, and I literally was walking home to this flat by myself, in the dark, and I started almost to cry, because I was what I saw was just brilliant. This pure form of joy. That's the only way I could describe it. His show was. And then also everything I've experienced in the last 3.5 weeks. It was just crazy altogether, but yeah, it's one of those experiences.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel like... Oh, there's so much there. So did you end up actually liking Paul? Were you he is actually...
Loved it.
You loved it. Okay.
Loved it. It's not, and I find myself kind of a stand-up purist, which it wasn't that, but it was, but I do have an improv background, and I started consuming comedy when I moved to LA in the alternative scene and all that. And so it just, I don't know, maybe it's nostalgic, but it was amazing. It was so amazing. It's something that you think this shouldn't be funny, but it was brilliant. It was so good.
I felt that way about, I think his name is Tim Devine. Pardon me, UK listeners, if you're rolling over being it's not his name, but he's a prop comic, and he's clean, and getting into his show, we had to fight to get in. And it was very much that. I was oh, here we go. These prop comics, I'm not into it. The Carrot Top stuff, I'm I get why it works, but it's not for me. And by he also does a bunch of puns. And so it's rapid fire, language. And I just was the first 5 minutes, I was like, and by the end, I was like, this is the only kind of comedy I want to watch. It's so fun and easy to watch. Like,
I left thinking like, I can never do that. I'll never be able to do that.
We're over here just like moaning about everything, and they're like, cool, we're gonna invent puppets and shit that you've never seen. You're like, okay. Sorry to hyperfixate on that. It's just so nice to meet someone and talk to someone who's actually done it. So let's focus now on the release of your debut album, Dumber Than I Look. First of all, why'd you call it that? And
yes, almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Well, when we recorded, almost a year ago recorded. It was released this past year.
Okay, tell me about it.
Why I call it Dumber Than I Look is because it's not a line from a joke, which a lot of people will name their album after like a joke title or like. But I do talk about being dyslexic, and I think I do have a line where I say like where I'm kind of like talking to like the other kids in my class to be like, oh, he doesn't look that dumb. And so then there's other things in other jokes I say and do observations like, you know, I don't look like an idiot, but I'm not. I'm very educated and smart, but I am dumber than you would think, and that's kind of like where that came from, kind of thing.
Got it.
Mostly, I come from school, like being in special ed, where people like, you know, like in the joke I talk about me and this albino kid that we were in class together. And we were two special ed kids, but he looked like he was albino, he was all messed up. He looked like, you know, with me, I look normal, so they expect a lot more from me, but I'm dumber than I look. You know?
Got it.
That's
okay.
Kind of where that came from.
And how was the process of putting that together? How long were you like, is that just a year's worth of material that you made into an hour, or is that like, you know, the entire breadth of your career?
Yeah, it was kind of cumulative. Like there are jokes there that are from, and maybe like one or two jokes that are literally from the first 2 years of my stand-up. I've been about 10 years now, going on 11 this year, I guess. And so there are some of that, but it's just cumulative of all the material I wanted to put together, all the material I liked, and some of it I still do. I'd say maybe 20% of it I still might do. Like this weekend I did some shows that I had to be somewhat clean, and I did probably like 30% was from the album. And then there's some that I don't even touch. Not because they're not funny, they don't hold up. It's just stuff that's old that I was kind of putting some stuff together on the album to get rid of, kind of thing. But I don't think like none of it. To me, I don't feel like, oh, this is burned material. It's just that it's just stuff I don't really do anymore. And I like to be able to pitch the album after shows, so I don't want to, hey, listen to this album even though you just heard it all live, you know. So I definitely don't want to do that. But I'm not like, I don't think like a lot of people think, oh, I put it out there as burned. Like I have friends that have like album or specials on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, but who saw that? How many views did you get? Like none of those people are going to be at your show. And if they are, great, you made a fan, but I don't, you know, you don't worry concerns of so much like, oh, it's burned, you know, unless it's on like a Netflix special or something.
Yeah,
really outdated.
I don't understand comics getting precious about that, because I re-listen to albums all the time, and I know the punchline, I know the setup,
That's
I know the whole thing, and I'll just keep re-listening because it's like I just love hearing it, especially if I think the album is really good. Then I just want to understand the crafting of that particular joke, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, I find it interesting.
Those are good special comics. Though.
Yeah,
that's like a Chris Rock. You know, that's like a Mitch Hedberg. That's our special comics. That really you can re-listen and quote them. You know. Yeah. And stuff like that. That's not everybody.
That's true.
I think the reason why people think that's because you're used. At least I would. Like, say if I was on the Tonight Show, I wouldn't just do that 5 minutes. I mean, if I'm doing an hour, who cares if 5 minutes you've heard before? But you're using that to promote also. Like when I produce a show, I will make clips and promote it on social media and stuff. And so that I consider as burn, because if I'm trying to get you to come to the show based on this joke, then why am I going to do that joke to you at the show?
I get that.
I do. I kind of do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, get us up to today. So you said before we started recording, you said you live in Temecula, but you have like an LA based show. So how does that work for you? And like,
I was just in Temecula for the weekend working at Pachanga at the casino.
I don't listen. I was only half listening when you were talking. So sorry. So you live in LA, have the LA based show. Yes. Okay.
Yes, live in Burbank. The show you was doing it at the Ice House pre-COVID, and then COVID happened. We stopped doing it, obviously. So I'm not back. It's not the Ice House, at the Glendale Room in Glendale now. Second Saturday every month. It's a lot of fun.
Glendale.
It's trigger warning. It's the name of the show because the gimmick of the show is that all the comics, there might be like 4 or 5 comics, and then we all do a set of our cleanest, least offensive material, and then we come back and do a set of our dirtiest, edgiest, or darkest material. So it's kind of split into 2 halves. It's like a clean set and a dirty set.
Oh, that's super fun. So is it like 10 and 10? Or how long do you...
We do like 7 and 7.
That's
usually.
Awesome. Okay.
Like, 15-minute set.
Okay.
Together, 15 minutes.
And do you have a place where everybody, we'll give all your socials and everything at the end of the show, but do you have a place where everybody can like find all of your information, find the album, we'll do that again at the end, but again, just to plug it now.
I have a link tree that I connect to my Instagram, and then I have a website, but yeah, Instagram's probably where I'm most active on.
Okay. You want to give everybody your handle real quick?
It is at John Flanny, JONFLANNY.
Okay. And before we move on from this section, you talk about being Mexican and Irish, and I want to understand, obviously Flanagan is the Irish part of you. Is that your mom or your dad's side is Irish? Obviously your dad, I guess.
Side.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My dad's Irish American. My mom's Mexican American. As a matter of fact, I was at my parents' house today because we made tamales for Christmas today.
Aww.
My mom, my aunts, and myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
When you were in Edinburgh, did you get to go to Ireland, or have you been to Ireland to see where your dad's from?
I've not been to Ireland, and I did not get to go to Ireland. I did go to like the Highlands of Scotland, Fort Williams area. That was really cool. And then in Edinburgh as well, which is also a very cool city.
Mm-hmm. It is very cool, and it's similar.
The food's terrible.
The food is really bad. Yeah, the food's really terrible in Ireland too. Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's why you guys made tamales and not like fried potato bullshit. That is all we eat in Ireland. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to move on to the good stuff. We hoped you folks saved room for dessert. No, that's a lie. I swear to God, I've done this before. What's happening, Kate? We hope you enjoyed your apps. Let's move on to the entrees after a quick break. We just skipped the whole middle bit of the podcast. It's just going to talk about Fringe, and then that's a wrap. Bye, Jonathan. See you later. All right, folks. Now that my brain is working again, we are back, and it is time to move on to the entrees. Okay, obviously, Jonathan, you're a longstanding fan of the podcast. You already get how this works. You've been listening for years. Thank you so much for your loyal support. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, so we always start with the same first question, and now you can answer this one of two ways because I get emails about this and people disagree. So I always say, what was the first job you had where the government was taking taxes out of your income? But sometimes the audience gets annoyed and wants to know, like, well, did you have a paper route, or did you babysit, or did you? Yeah. So obviously the government is hopefully not involved in that process. So what was your first job ever? And you can answer either way.
My first job my first actual job where it's like a job. My uncle he had a rental property, and he used to make me and my brothers, he'd pay us, he'd make us, let us go help him like work, like put in sprinklers in the ground, like things like that, work on the properties. And he would just pay us cash, but he would make us write a receipt out to him. I don't know if he was doing some of his taxes, but he would have a little receipt that we would have to sign to give to him or something like that. So I don't know what he was doing with that, but so I don't know if that counts. But then my first actual job was at Stater Brothers, which is a grocery store here in Southern California. And I was just like a little like box boy person getting shopping carts and bagging groceries. And that was like a legit job I'm like 16 years old, in between like junior, senior year of high school. And I remember because it was part of because it was grocery stores. I was in a union, like I had to join the union. I had like life insurance, like I had a $10,000 benefit for life insurance because all unionized. So I remember putting my little brother as my benefactor. Like if I died, he'd get 10 grand because it was a union job, like a real union job. Work. It was kind of cool. Grocery store is a very good union job to have, actually. Yeah, that was my first job working at Stater Brothers bagging groceries.
See, I would have been scared to tell him. Oh, go ahead.
And I remember my first day there. Every job they screw with you. And there's other kids from my high school there working there. And one was like, oh yeah, before you go and shake all the salad dressings on like the wall. And so I go over like the oil-based salad dressings that all get separated. And so I remember going over there and looking at this whole wall, like a whole shelf of salad dressings. And I'm like, this can't be real, right? And I finally just like, screw it, I'm not doing it. And I left. I'm like, if I get in trouble, I was like, no one told me, I didn't know, and luckily, he was screwing with me.
Oh, you're so lucky that you figured that out. Because my like people pleaser little female self would be like, okay, I guess I'm going to go shake dressings for the next 3 hours. That's so insane. Yeah. You're looking at like, I feel like if my sibling knew that they were the beneficiary of my policy, they'd probably try to kill me. Cause that's that's a lot. 10 grand in high school. I mean, shit, that's a lot of money now, but 10 grand in high school is a good amount of money. Okay. So are you, I didn't even ask you this. Are you from LA originally?
I'm from Southern California, but like Inland Empire,
Oh, okay.
Fontana, Chino area. So outside of LA, like maybe like 50 miles east of LA.
Okay, we're going to get back to the regular
But
questions, but I got to know, you still wanted to get into comedy even though you grew up around this close to the entertainment industry and you saw how brutal and insane it is? You still wanted to do it?
well, no, that's what's so funny. Like I know like friends in LA and stuff where like, first of all, everyone in LA thinks like LA is the center of the universe. Think like their opinions and it's like, oh, that's the standard. It's like you go 20 miles outside of LA, you are no longer the majority. And I don't care. Like you go to West Covina, which is still LA County, go anywhere. But no, where I grew up, it was not. There's not like I didn't even tell. I remember I wanted to be getting acting. I wanted to be on SNL, but it's not something you say out loud. Like I remember it was like a secret. Like when I got into college, I would like secretly take a theater class because it would be embarrassing to even tell people because like what are you talking about? It's not a thing. Like the industry, LA is not a thing. You go to LA every now and then to like go to like a party, to like go to like a nightclub, like 18 and over. People have no idea what LA is. Even I didn't. When I moved to LA, before I moved to LA I lived right in Hollywood. Before I moved, I used to think, oh yeah, LA is just snobby rich people. You got to wear nice shoes to get into the club and pay $20. It's like, no, LA it's so diverse, has every scene you want, but that's not what you realize when you're so disconnected from Hollywood, quote unquote Hollywood, growing up in Southern California anywhere. I mean, yeah, look at like Riverside. I mean, nowadays it's a little easier because social media, but that was before all that, where it's like, no, you got to drive an hour traffic just to go if you want to go. Like we would go to the Dodger game, but that's it. Like it's not like that's not the same. And at the Dodger game, it's mostly all the same Mexicans from Riverside. It's not like you're hanging out with comedians from UCB, you know.
You said it. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
So I guess like so in high school and stuff, you weren't doing theater stuff. So like, were you playing sports after school
No.
so you could do? Because you said the grocery store job was in between junior and senior year. So were you also
That's
working?
Why I quit the grocery store job.
Was because of sports?
It screwed me. Yeah, because like I messed up my whole summer league that year playing basketball, and so eventually I had to quit for that year.
Okay,
For the school year.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
basketball was my main sport that I played.
did you play in college?
Still do. I was, and then I broke my ankle, and then the doctors mixed up my X-rays, and then it was broken for like 3 weeks, and then I had to get cleared from the doctor at school, like from the sports medicine doctor, like the team doctor, like had to clear me, and she's the one who realized it was broken. She's like, "Dude, your shit's broken. You should have been." And it's like I'm already walking back, like I'm kind of walking weird, like my foot sideways, and so then I had to have surgery, and that whole summer I like was in the best. The whole summer I was trying to get in shape to walk onto the team, and I did. And so like after that happened, it was like a whole 2 months, 3 months off. I'm like, forget it. Like it's I just lost all that I had worked on.
That's devastating. That is, but that makes me sick at my stomach because my sister had a misdiagnosed, like they told her wrist was not broken. And so she was doing exercises outside of the tub with a fully broken wrist, screaming. I remember at my house just screaming. So it makes me like, oh, you just took me way back.
Wrist takes so long to heal too.
Yeah, but
right now.
you had a broken ankle and you were just like continuing on with life as if it weren't broken.
I mean, I was like, it's just, they think it's like a sprain. And I remember one morning I woke up, my entire foot, my toes, everything was swollen. And I went back to the doctors. This is Kaiser, which I still have.
They suck. I've had them too.
And I went to a different Kaiser and I tell that doctor, hey, I've sprained my ankle before. This feels worse. And he didn't take new x-rays. He just kind of looked at the computer and was like, it's just a sprain. Here's 5 more days off, work and school. And so, it was like, had it wrapped up and stuff like that, had like a little boot on, but then, just wasn't really getting 100% better. And then finally, like I said, I'm walking on it, but I'm just kind of like walking without hurting it, and stuff like that, just hoping it'll get better. And then, like I said, the sports medicine doctor is the one who found it. Like, no, that's just broken. And then a cast. And then now there's bone spurs. So now I got a surgery to get the bone spurs out and all this stuff. And it's just been a pain ever since.
This is the thing. I mean, that would have been probably pre the like total, pain clinic, like, seeking out opioids crisis that we're in now. This is a comedy podcast, but I'm going to make a point. I promise. But it's like, it's not like you were doctor shopping. You were being honest about your care. This is when customer service in medicine makes me an insane person because blowing you off of like, sorry, Jonathan, it just is what it is. It's like instead of the patient saying like, hey man, I've actually done this before and I want to die. This hurts so badly. And they're like, yeah, shut up.
Literally that.
I mean,
I literally said, I was like, I've sprained my ankle before. This feels worse. And he said, no, it's just a sprain. Here's 5 more days off.
I think everyone's had it, including doctors, but they get no pass. You guys are paid insane money to read an x-ray. That's why an AI is going to take over for x-ray tech jobs. I was just talking to a doctor, former guest of the podcast, Dr. LJ Waddell or Jim Waddell, was talking to me about that and saying that like, anyway, I'm off the rails. Let me get focused. How many customer service jobs have you had total?
Oh man.
Let's go through the list.
I think everything since then has been customer service for the most part, like Stater Brothers. Okay. There was one stint I did with a newspaper kind of thing. But that was kind of like in the sales department. So I don't know if that's customer service, like advertising. But Stater Brothers. Then I remember my next job after that was at Olive Garden. I was a host at Olive Garden. And then became a busser. And this is back in the days. See, now every city has like a little downtown with gastropubs and like cool stuff. But back then, like Olive Garden, Red Lobster, that was it. That was the fancy restaurants in my neighborhood. Like that's it. And then like Black Angus, I was like a busser there, and then a server. And then BJ's Brew House, I was a bartender and a server, like places like that.
Is that how you know Josh? Is through BJ's?
No, I don't. But we know some mutual people.
Oh, right on. Okay. All right. So keep going. So BJ's. Go ahead.
It was funny. I met Josh Floorhog, who's a very funny comedian, because I was kind of trying to promote my show in Glendale, the Trigger Warning show. So I went to like some of the restaurants in town because restaurant employees are they go out, they like to drink, they like to have fun. So I think it's a good market to promote to. And so I went to some of the restaurants in the area in Glendale, and I said, hey, if any of you guys want to come, here's a discount code for like the restaurant workers. And then some people are like, oh, someone that works here is a comic. I was like, who? They told me his name. I was like, I don't know. He's probably not funny. Like, I don't know who he is. And then, but I gave him one of my Comedy Dream Team stickers. Like, well, give this to the guy. And then he reached out, like, hey, I'd love to do your show. And I saw his clip. I'm like, oh, he's actually really funny. And then we became friends from that.
I love that. I'll come back to something on that in a second. Okay, but I don't want to lose this list. Okay, so BJ's. After BJ's, what'd you do?
Then I started. A lot of times I also had overlapping jobs. Like there's times I had 3 jobs at once. I had would have 2 restaurant jobs at one point, 2 different restaurants. I don't like being held to some. I like to be able to be like, you know what? Screw you. I don't need you. I'm out. I don't want to be dependent on one person. That's really. I mean, I think I have a fear of commitment.
I was gonna say you're marriage material right now. I don't know if you're married, but like you are marriage material, sir. Keep going.
So there's definitely times where I worked at multiple restaurants. I had multiple jobs. There's a place called Honolulu Harry's I worked at. At the same time I worked there, I worked at Sports Chalet, and then I quit Sports Chalet to keep working at Honolulu Harry's. Sports Chalet was actually a really good gig. A lot of hookups and discounts. Sports Chalet was basically like Dick's Sporting Goods back when they had before everything got monopolized. It's a really good sporting department or store. And then when I was working at BJ's, I started working for this like dinner theater murder mystery company. I was like artistic director for this dinner theater company. And that was a lot of fun, but it's just, I kept the restaurant job at the same time. And I was working like 1 day a week. I hated that place. I got down, honestly, I'd work 1 day a month at some point. Cause like the manager didn't like me and I don't want to work there. And but I wasn't going to quit. I was like, no, you got to fire me if you want me to leave. But, because I still wanted to keep it in case I need it. Like I said, I can't, let it go. And so there was times that he wouldn't schedule me. I was like, cool. And or I would just get rid of shifts, like go get rid of it. And I remember working there like very minimal at some point.
It's so wild. I can hear the convergence of like the Mexican family and you as the like having 17 jobs, making sure you're taken care of. And the Irish side of you is the like, fuck you, you're going to have to fire me. I'm like, oh, I can see why our cultures would like, I'm 100% Irish, but I can totally see how your parents were attracted to each other of the pursuit of justice, work your ass off and fuck everybody. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm into it. Okay. So dinner theater company was so you're doing that simultaneously with other customer service jobs or no?
Doing that at the same time as working at BJ's.
BJ's. Yeah. Okay. So wait, keep going. So Sports Chalet, dinner theater company, what was after that?
The dinner theater company, then that ended. And at this point that ended actually what made me want to get into stand-up because I was doing improv and I knew that's how I got that job. I knew someone from improv from UCB who who got hired to artistic direct this company, and she brought me on. It's like, hey, I got to staff this thing. I have auditions. Do you want to help me out? So I helped her out, and then basically I just came on board with her, and we both kind of like ran that company and stuff. Did a lot of like the administration stuff as well as the shows and performing at the shows. And we had a great. We had Mary. What's her name? Mary Holland was one of our. Like, we had amazing use, like, because we were in LA, so we had the best talent in the world there, and so we like booking all these improvisers we knew before, like they were big when they needed little side jobs, we had some really good. Alexis Simpson was one of them. Like, we had some great, really talented people working for us, and we had put on some really good shows. And then when that ended, doing those shows, I was basically doing a lot of it's interactive dinner theaters, like a murder mystery show company or murder mystery show. Say if you had we do public events, but also private events. So say you had a birthday party with 20 of your friends. You hired us. We came in, put on stupid costumes on all you guys, gave you a little book with the bio and your name. You're playing a character. And then there's a whole murder mystery that happens. So it's interactive. So like, we're going to you like, hey, introduce yourself. Who are you? You're like, oh, I'm whoever. I need a man. It's always puns like that and things like that. But what comes out of your mouth, I don't know. So I'm riffing off of you guys and doing this whole crowd work thing. So, I mean, I'm in a character, and it just that's what kind of made me have that itch. So when I stopped working at that company, I was like, I missed that. That was so much fun. I was doing like 15 minutes of crowd work every show with these people, and it was so much fun. And that's when I started to do stand-up right after that, because I kind of like had that itch I wanted to scratch.
Is that dinner theater still in existence? Because that sounds like the most fun thing of all time.
That company, it was a very good product. The guy who owned it, who started it, he was out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they started, and they just expanded to different cities. So I remember the conference call I was on was like 17 cities at that point, even though we were the third. And I think they're still around, but we kind of lost because he got mad at us for like starting a competitive company, which wasn't really competitive at all, but he just got mad. He got jealous and like, you signed a non-compete clause, you got to go, this and that. But it's because we were doing it at a venue in Hollywood at the Next Door Lounge on Highland, which is a really cool venue. And he said, hey, get our stuff. We're not going to do it with them because they want more money. We're going to go to the Olive Garden in Arcadia. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, people from Arcadia will come to Hollywood for a night out. People from Hollywood aren't going to go to Arcadia. Like, you're stupid. And so that venue in Hollywood is like, hey, we love you guys. I think you guys are really talented. If you have your own thing, we'll work with you. And so that's when we started our own thing. Or my friend who I was running it with started her own company, which is Dainty Dames Events. They're still around. They still do their own thing.
That's business.
Us to have to part ways.
Yeah, but that's business, there's a lot of people that sell beach volleyballs. It's not just one company. Like, and if you're gonna move the location to Arcadia, for people not familiar with Los Angeles, that would be the equivalent in the Midwest of moving from Colorado to Ohio. Like, that drive is okay. Granted, it's not that long, but like, you're gonna be in the car forever to go from Hollywood to Arcadia. Like, that's so stupid to have moved. Also, why?
It was dumb.
Yeah, why not just stay in Hollywood? Like, there's tons of venues in Hollywood. Anyway.
We were basically paying, it's almost like they provided the venue and the food and the booze, and we sell the tickets to this thing, and then we would pay per plate, almost like a wedding. So we were paying $11 per plate to give food to the people that came to the show. Because we're just a show, you know what I mean? But like, we don't have a brick and mortar or a place to give you alcohol and food. So that was this place. So like, they got their booze sales, and then we paid per plate to provide the food for the people. And they're like, hey, we need more than $11 a plate, which is very generous, to be honest. $11 is not that expensive for a nice little meal. And so that's when he's like, get out of there. I'm like, you're an idiot. And this guy doesn't know LA. He's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I tried telling him, and he didn't want to hear it. Like, it's not the same. Like, you're messing up here. But it was a good product. It's called The Murder Mystery Company. They're still around as well.
Okay.
And then my friend's company, which she started after that, which is Dainty Dames Event, which is similar kind of thing, but it's not just murder mystery. I don't know.
It's all kinds of events. Okay, so you do dinner theater company. You're working at BJ's at the same time. What's after that? Or are you full-time comedy now?
Now, yeah. But back then, like I said, that's when I started comedy, and then I was still at BJ's. I don't know. I think that was it. I left both of those. I think I started filling in for this bar in LA, in Hollywood. Like, because I knew someone, I kind of had a connection with one of the managers, and I was kind of like, hey, we need a bar back. Okay, I'll come fill in. Hey, we need a bartender. Okay, I'll come fill in. And I would just kind of get paid on the table for a while. And then eventually, like, people would like quit or move on. And then they're like, hey, you want to take their shift? So now I'm working an extra shift. And then eventually I was like, I was working 4 nights a week at this bar in Hollywood. And then the same thing in reverse happened where then it's like, hey, I need more time off for stand up. Hey, I need more time off for stand up. Where then, okay, now I'm giving away all the shifts and they have other people filling in, taking my spot. And I'm kind of like back to that now, where now I'm kind of just filling in again because I, you know, when it's, you know, when I'm here, I'm like, I got nothing going on. I might as well work. Like, especially like this weekend. A lot of people are out of town because holidays. Like, I'm here. Sure. If you guys want me, I'll come work. I don't got nothing going on December 22nd, you know?
Again, this is that stereotypical work ethic. Like, it's why the Irish and Mexican cultures I totally get why your parents found each other. I totally get it.
So that was it. It was just the bar in Hollywood. It's our bartender there, which is not like it's just drinks and DJ. It's like kind of like a lounge nightclub. There's no like food or anything like that.
Do you want to promote them and say the name, or are you like, no, it's all good?
No, it's fine.
That's what I figured. Yeah, okay. So people have to see you doing stand up, and that's the only way they'll get eyes and ears on you. Okay, so
sure. I do have a joke about it too, because I don't want to like that. I remember showing someone who worked at the bar. I said, "Hey, look at this," because there was a stabbing there. They're like, "Oh, I wish you didn't say the name of the bar," and like a clip like on Instagram. I was like no one knows.
Okay, hold on. Let me count real quick. So we have you, Stater Brothers, and Olive 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. We're saying
I did a seasonal gig one Christmas at Tilly's also. Just seasonal.
Seasonal at Chili's. What the hell? What season?
Oh, Tilly's.
Oh, Tilly's.
Oh. They're like little like state clothing shop for freaking high school kids. Yeah, I did one of those. Ooh. I've done a lot of bullshit like that.
Good for you.
I did a couple months at Coco's restaurant just because I needed to pick up extra money because I bought a car back. This is a long time ago. I was working at Blank Angus, and I remember opening at this breakfast diner at like 6 a.m. working, having a break just enough time to drive to the Black Angus and then working like a 13-hour day doing that for a couple months because to pay off a car, like I need to buy a car.
Look, let nobody tell you don't work your ass off. Let nobody tell you that, because I just counted. I had you capped out at 9 jobs, and then you just told me 3 more that just came to you. So we're gonna say 12, but I'm assuming you've had more than that will come to you as soon as we wrap the episode. You're going to be like, oh crap, here's 10 more. So just for posterity, I'll say 14. So you've had 14 customer service jobs. Now, of those, and don't count comedy, which was your favorite of all of those customer service jobs?
I mean, the Murder Mystery Company. That was so much fun.
Okay.
And most of the time it was cool. Every now and then it's like, this is not like you guys... Like, it's like, there's been times where it's like, oh, it's 12 people in somebody's house that we got. Now we're walking in with these stupid fake mustaches. Like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, this is awkward. Or like somebody's really drunk. I don't know. Like, but most of the time it's good. Or even worse, I remember being at the Sacramento Convention Center for like 500 people. And it's like, how are we supposed to do that? They're not paying attention. They don't give a shit. It's like some corporate event. And it's just like it's so annoying, which is a lot like stand-up where you get some place like, oh, they don't really care what we're saying. Why are we up here? We feel stupid. We got to be here, do the time to get the paycheck, you know?
Oh, it's so brutal. Well, okay. So because I'm going to tweak this a little bit, because it was a performance opportunity, even though it was like, it is customer service, take that off the table. Of the ones where you didn't get any performance option, what was your favorite? He's smiling and thinking.
Oh man, at the Hollywood bar. I mean, it's just
easy.
Different especially coming from like corporate restaurants where it's like, oh, this person complains to you, and like, oh, I give them a gift card, ask them to come back, and not to complain. You know, now it's like, oh, someone's mad. Hey, bouncer, get this person the hell out of here. You're out, dude. Get out. Boom. 86. Screw you, get out. You know, like that. It's just a different world, you know.
It's a different kind of power.
Act up there, you kick them out. People act up over there, you got to kiss their ass.
Isn't that so wild to me? The giving the cards to come back. At the Comedy Store, that happened all the time. When we would, like, I had a guy who handed me a bunk card once, and Chris Rock was doing a surprise drop-in, and so he came back, like he had left, and I was going to be saddled with his like $300 bill, and I was so upset. And then he heard that Chris was like in the room, and so he came and snuck in the bag. And when I tell you, Jonathan, I put my tray of drinks down and I went right to his table, and I was like, sir. And so he got attitude. We kick him out. Security was totally on my side. And then the manager comes up and gives him cards to come back. And I was like, why are we rewarding this insane behavior? But whatever. I'm not in charge.
Which manager?
No, come on, Jonathan. We ain't doing that on a mic. I'll tell you all.
I play basketball with Richie on the weekends. He don't seem like a kind of person to give out cards to assholes.
Okay, we gonna keep it moving. Okay, so your favorite of all of those was, you said, the Hollywood bar where you currently are. That feels right. Okay, least favorite, and again, none of the performance side ones.
Was the Black Angus, but that was only because the GM was such cunt. Like she was just
Oh,
a terrible
really?
person. It was so bad, which I didn't know it. I mean, I knew I had an issue with her, and like this is bad. But when I left there, or I think I eventually got fired from there. But when I went and got hired at the BJ's, they asked me. One of the managers who was interviewing me asked me, "Oh, why did you leave Black Angus?" And I said, "Oh, well, there was this manager, blah blah." And she's like, "Oh, what's her name?" Blah blah. I was like, "Yeah." It's like, okay. She didn't need to know anything else because she had worked for company. She knew who that person was, and I got the job. Like she was like, "Okay." No explanation. I just dropped her name, and she's like, "Oh, I understand."
Damn.
That's how bad that person was. Yeah.
Damn. Okay, wait, now,
Yeah.
obviously it's a broad stroke to say the manager is shitty. So what specifically, not necessarily like your issues, unless you want to say them,
Sure.
but what's the general, like what made her a bad manager?
I mean, it's so long ago, but I remember it was she. She was manipulative. She was just like a terrible person, and I don't know. Then you know how these corporate places are. They really don't. They treat their employees like shit. At least it's been a while since I've been in that game, but they treat their employees terribly. Like she's very manipulative. She didn't care. She made you always feel like. I mean, now I look back. Now that I'm more of an adult. I've been in relations. I could like look back and say, oh, she was a toxic, manipulative person. That's pretty much it. It was really bad. But like that to her employees, it was really bad.
Would she do the thing like that often happens with bad management where she was punitive with the schedule? Like if she just decided for a week she didn't like you,
for sure.
you weren't getting a see that level of messing with people's money is almost nothing makes me that mad. Like, fine, I get it. You're not going to have my back in a customer interaction because you're the manager, whatever. When you're punitive with my schedule and I can't pay rent because you're pouting for a week, I feel like that should be a fireable offense for management.
For sure, that, and then also like the kind of thing where they act like, oh, if you guys, you got to help. Like they know they screw you over, like put you in the weeds and stuff like that, but then do nothing to help you. Or you can't even, don't even have the things you need to do your job. And so it's like, you're worse than the tables. Like you're making it even harder to, stuff like that. And then it's like, well, why don't you tell us? Like, what do you mean? I couldn't find you. Like, you're not existent. Like how, what do you mean? You want me to get you to help me, but you don't help me. And then you make me afraid to even ask you for help. Like stuff like that.
That's abusive. Like that is an actual abusive relationship.
Very abusive.
So
very abusive. And I've seen that numerous times in restaurants, which I think is so screwed up.
Well, this is the other thing then that I'll elaborate on. If just you saying her name was enough for that other manager to be like, we totally know
another company, but she worked there, so she worked with Black Ants at the time and knew that person.
Why do corporate restaurants protect those type of people? Like, I don't.
I think they are manipulators and they play the game. They step on people to climb that ladder and stuff. It's crazy.
That part.
A different manager actually at one of the BJ's, because I worked at multiple of the BJ's. I transferred. But he, one time, it was Thanksgiving. I was super sick, and I don't even think I went to my Thanksgiving. I was almost like wasn't even going to go Thanksgiving. And so next day's Friday, Black Friday. I'm like, hey, I'm sick, and I called in like super early, and he's like saying something like, he said something like, "You're not really on Black Friday. You're not making any friends." And I remember thinking, like, did you threaten me? And I was just like, and once again, I've dealt with toxic management, and so I'm like, fuck that. And so I called corporate. I was like, no, I called HR. I was like, this is what I said. And then sure enough, he's like, and it wasn't just me, it's other people. I was like, I just want to get on record. I wasn't trying to get him fired. I just want to get on record in case because the problem is people don't speak up. And so these people get away with this over and over and over. It's like, just get it on record. So when it happens to the next person, they see that there's a pattern of this kind of behavior and manipulation, and it's terrible. And so then sure enough, like the next week, HR's in there talking, I'm walking in, I was like, oh shit. And he's sitting there with HR. Hey, John. He's like, oh my God. That's not awkward. And I remember the night I sat down and they talked to me. I was like, yeah, look, honestly, I just wanted to get it on a record. But then apparently there is a lot of other people that were, because they talked to all the employees then, and then sure enough, that guy eventually got taken out. But it's like, that's why you got to say something, because then people, oh, wait, now they actually listen and talk to other people. And there's so many other bad stories that worse than mine
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, to your point, it's really scary to say anything, and especially in Los Angeles where so many of us are pursuing something else, that we're like, I just have to get through this shift, whatever. I just need to pay my rent. And because our sights are set elsewhere, it's just like, oh, if I rock the boat, someone might be punitive with my schedule, and I don't have the energy to do this and be creative and. So good for you for pursuing creative work and having that job and being willing to report it, because it is rare that people will actually say something. So good for you. You're
like
a hero.
I said, that's why I keep multiple jobs, so I can like, screw you. I'm gonna take your shit. I don't need you. I'm choosing to be here.
I'm gonna call this episode Jonathan Flanagan Chooses to Be Here, because that's a vibe. Good for you. Okay, so least favorite was BJ's, you said, right? Is that the job we were just talking about? No.
Black Angus.
Black Angus. Sorry, Black Angus. Okay, BJ's is the one you like. Okay.
But it's so weird because I also had a lot of fun. I mean, I was younger. I dated multiple people. I dated a girl for 7 years. I met there. Like,
holy crap, that's a long time.
It was like, yeah, it was. I mean, it was like 20 to 26 or something. I don't know, but I had a lot of fun. I mean, there was a lot of partying. That was back. This is like early 2000s. Like, you gotta think restaurants. This is TikToks or. People, I mean, restaurant, there's a lot, very incestual, a lot of parties, a lot of fun back then. I grew up a lot from that place. Like, I had older people taking, we'd go, before I was 21, we're like, no, come on, don't worry about it. They'll serve you. We're going to TGI Fridays after work, and they all know us, they hook us. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely the management and then working there was the most toxic work environment.
Yeah, I worked at a place called the Back Porch Saloon in Cincinnati. I don't know if it's still open. 100 years ago, before I was 21, and the bartenders used to make me this shot called Dirty Bong Water, which is as disgusting as it sounds, but it tasted really good because it was super sweet. And I was definitely not allowed to be legally drinking. And they would be like, "Hey, Kate, we got to talk to you for a second." And I go behind the bar and I'd be like, "What's going on?" Like, I thought I screwed something up. And they're like, "Look over here." And then they would have me duck down and take a shot. Like, that kind of like debauchery and just being idiots. Like, of course, now looking back, I'm like, I probably made some bad choices, but it's such a time of your life thing where you can't get that working at an office, well, maybe you can. Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's office Christmas party maybe once a year.
Every shift
was office Christmas party. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, what's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do whilst on the clock?
What is the weirdest thing I've been asked to do on the clock? I mean, I don't know about weird. There's, that's a good question. I mean, there's always like stuff you don't want to do. Like, I don't know. I jumped over the bar top to break up a fight or help out a fight. That's what happened before. But
tell us that story. That's cool. Was that whilst you were bartending like recently, or was this when you were younger?
That's in Hollywood, the bar there. It used to be pretty rowdy back in the day. So it's just like nightclub vibe,
Did you ever get like barfed on or anything, like where you were like, this is?
Not on me. I mean, I'm behind the bar, so but there's been bad. We've found girls passed out in the women's bathroom. Like, everyone's out. We've closed the bar, and it's like, who's with who came with her? Like, who left her? There's somebody, and like have to like somehow open her phone and get her like call to, hey, I think it was her dad. We eventually got a hold of somebody like, hey, yeah, this girl's passed out here. We're not going to just throw her on the side on Cahuenga Boulevard, just leave her on the sidewalk. And she's just like asleep in the bathroom by herself. Like, come here by yourself.
Yeah, where are your friends? This happened at the Comedy Store. Yeah. They like Jody was managing at the time, and so was Richie, and they were like, "Hey, Kate, we got to talk to you for a second." And it was 2 a.m. and I was like, "No, you don't have to talk to me. I want to go home." And they were like, "Come here." They took me to the bathroom, and there was a girl like who had vomited all over herself and absolutely needed medical attention. And then those jackasses made it my job, and then they were mad because I was like, "Y'all got to call an ambulance because this ain't it. Like, she can't. It's 2 a.m. and she's covered in puke." And they were like, "Dang it. Like, they shouldn't have asked me. That's on them. They should have just been like, well, keep her in the bathroom." But yeah, the number of people who I'm like, where are your friends? And that ain't it. Okay. Well, that's a good answer for weirdest thing. All right.
Stuff like that. Someone pepper sprayed another person in the bar. Like next thing you know, like, and that's, you can't, when you pepper spray, I don't know if you ever use pepper spray. Yes. It doesn't just go where you want
travels.
to go. So now we're like, I'm wearing a towel around my face, trying to work and do stuff. It's crazy.
Did they not close the bar when that happened? Or did they keep
pepper sprayed?
Yeah.
No, it was still open. It was. I mean, we those people were out of the bar, but there's lingering pepper spray in
Yeah.
the air for a little bit. Yeah, and it wasn't that crowded that at that moment that night. I remember.
God bless.
Yeah,
Okay.
weird stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, bartending in Hollywood, you could just like you could pick your battles, I guess. What's an incident that made them ask to speak to your manager? Because you're someone who stands up for what's right. So,
Oh, jeez.
what's an incident?
Oh man. Okay, so this is a thing. I mean, I'm all for when I'm a feminist. All right, I almost say that, but. And people are always like, yes, it's a what is it, patriarchy and all this stuff. And you're right, but case by case, there are things where no, women actually are not superior, but they actually do have more leeway and get a little more. I don't know, not say rights, but just are a little more. I don't know what the word is. It's not a patriarchy in that sense. One is bartending or like serving things like that in certain areas. So, like for example. Like there's like if I was a pretty girl. First of all, I think attractiveness supersedes everything else. You can be an ugly guy, a hot guy. It's gonna be better, vice versa. Ugly girl, hot. But do you know how many times I wanted to get a bar job when I first moved to Hollywood and make good money? I couldn't do it. Why? If you don't know anyone, if I was a girl, I know so many girls. Oh yeah, I moved there, got a job because they're a good looking.
But you're a good looking dude, and you're from here. I'm like,
if I'm a dude, that's the difference.
Oh,
like,
straight up,
bars,
just
they don't even have guys. They don't even have guy bartenders. There's like big wings. There are female bartenders. There's a lot of bars that used to be able to only females. Sorry, we don't hire guys, kind of thing. You want to be a bouncer, that's kind of thing. You want to be a bar back,
do security,
like stuff like that. And so I remember there was working at a bar in Chino a long time ago, and at Honolulu Harry's that. These teachers come every Friday, and teachers are the worst. Sorry if you're a teacher, but if you work in the service industry, teachers are the worst to serve. One, because they don't make a lot of money, so they're cheap. Two, they're used to be literally in control and being in control of every situation their entire day for 8 hours every single day. So they're the most bossy and entitled and controlled people there are as teachers. So both those things combined. So these teachers would come in every week on like Friday for happy hour, and they see the bar slammed. And I'm bartending and serving the cocktail tables, like just making drinks, taking out there. And then they would like literally like say things like, why don't you smile? Like if a guy told you that, why aren't you smiling? What would you say? Exactly. But I say something bad. Now I'm get zero. I'll get receipts that say have 0 tips that smile more because I'm a guy. You can if I was a girl, I'd be able to say, why don't you tip me and I'll smile, and then they'll pull out more cash. That's what happens when girls do it. If a guy says, girl, I want you to smile more. I know I have friends who are female who are cocktail servers and bartenders, and they just get sassy. Like, you kidding me? You want to smile? You better tip me 20%. And then they throw out $100 bill like, okay, yeah. Now it's all fun and games. If I do that, I get written up because I'm not smiling because I'm talking shit. It's like, because I would say, they would say, why don't you smile? I was like, tell me a joke. Like, you see how busy, like you're sitting here watching how busy, you see how long it took you to get your drinks. Like, what are you talking about? I don't have time for your shit. You know what I mean?
Like,
why are you entitled? Do you see everybody else around here? But you want some special attention? Why are you entitled to that and nobody, you know what I mean? Like all these other people, it's just stuff like that. And so that was one I get a couple times always from women. Guys is like, oh, the beers are cold, the food is warm, good, leave me alone, I'm happy. Women's like, well, why aren't you smiling? Why don't you? Oh, what? Oh, you're not very friendly. Is your fucking food warm? Is it good? Then shut up.
I can't
drink your drink and shut the hell up.
This happens to you enough.
Not even that. They have like 5 people. You're not by yourself. You have 4 of your girlfriends sitting next to you. Just talk, smile at them. Why do I even factor into this? But that's
this is wild because I've done 6,000 interviews and I've never heard anyone have that take on teachers, but you're right. I mean, not that 100%. Hasn't been because of the position that they're in most of their lives. So
they're very controlling and they don't have and they're cheap because they don't have money. So then they also have to split all the checks. God forbid, 2 of my dollars go towards your glass of half off wine. You know what I mean? So now they have all that too. Now this process that should be one thing turns into 7 things I need to do.
So then do you find yourself in a position like how you were saying that women, we would get away with being like, shut up and pay me more. Do you?
Exactly.
So then how do you?
I say that, I get written up.
So what do you do instead of that? Because no way you're just taking it on the chin every shift.
They notice this is the stain on my look. I mean, I just don't get tipped good, but they know, a lot of times they see that I'm not playing their games. And I've had someone apologize to me actually, who was like, this is a male guest who was he was very rude serving them, and they can just, and that, it always makes me feel bad because I'm like, oh, they know what I was thinking. Like, because I think it, but I don't want to make them feel. And so the person come up and apologize, hey, sorry, this and this. I was like, and then I'm like, oh no, it's all good, it's all good. Hey, we're all getting hangry, But it's because the look on my face and the way I respond, I'm not being rude. I'm still responding how it should be, whatever it is. Like, sure, yes, it comes with fries, whatever it is. But they can tell that. Fuck you. That they can tell that's my demeanor, and they have apologized a couple of times. There's been that, and then like I said, I feel bad, and I'm like backpedaling, like, oh no, it's all good. Yeah, I get that way too, and I'm hungry. When really no, my real instinct is like, yeah, you're an asshole, but
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of similar to what you were saying before about how nobody reports bad management in corporate restaurants. Nobody really, in a real way, can push back on customers in the way that they should be checked in situations like that. And I do think some people that work in customer service are too liberal with that. But for the most part, if you're a nice person, it's really hard because there is that dance of their tip is going to pay my rent. And so I can push it to like a point, like at working at a comedy club, we got away with some of that. But there was a guy that I don't know what he was on or what was going on mentally, but he handed me a credit card and it had like, I don't know, Mickey Mouse or some silly like cartoon on it or something. And this was at the top of the show. So I'm just like getting cards and I'm just going so quickly. And I was like, oh, Mickey Mouse, like, where's I don't even remember what I said. And when I tell you, a switch flipped in that dude's head, and he thought that I called him and all of his ancestors like homosexual men. I don't know what he heard, but he lost it on me, and he's like, I refuse to sit in this section. He created such a situation, and I was just like, I don't know if you've experienced this in customer service, but sometimes I'm like, am I on TV or am I in some sort of alternate reality? Because the way that some people act, I'm like, you just went through your day thinking that was an okay way to behave. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like those moments where you're like, oh, you're just out in the world being this way. It blows my mind. I could scream about this forever.
I get to that a little bit at the bar in Hollywood, but like I said, it's loud, and then I can push back and kick you out, or I just like, I'm not serving you, but you better get someone else then, because I'm not gonna make you a drink or whatever.
Have you said that? You're like straight up, I won't serve you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm serving you.
Good for you.
Because it's usually repeat offenders or someone. I mean, I've been, people have threatened at me, like, just go outside, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, I was like, get him the fuck out of here. He's fucking threatening me. And they'll come back another night and like, I remember you. I'm not serving you. I'm not.
Good for you. Like oh, I love that. Like that pursuit of justice is going to kill me, but I would totally have a list of people in my brain of like, let them come back. I could paint that person. Good for you. I'm like that too.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
Sometimes also people are like, oh, they're not even going to remember this, like, because they're drunk or whatever, like how they're acting.
Sure.
But I don't know.
Yeah, you got to get them in where you can, because it's, whatever. And you had said when we talked before, you were like, you just started talking about customer service from stage. So is this the kind of stuff that you're like able to talk about, or are you too, like, do you speak about it in a more broad way?
I try to. Some of it's hard to, like find the joke in whatever in some situations. The stabbing at the bar, I have a really good joke about that, and then I get a good laugh sometimes, because I also talk about how I also talk about as from a consumer as well. Like, I'm like, I don't like fancy restaurants, for whatever reasons, like this and that. And then I'm like, I like to order my food by a number and a picture. That's it. Like, give me the number 94. Like, sir, that's the price. Jesus Christ, give me number 5. Something like that. Like, joking around. And then like there's one line I say, which was verbatim happened to me, which is like a person said, can I have a little less ice in my water? And so like I make the joke like, yeah, wait 3 minutes, you'll have less ice and more water. You know what I mean? Like, just how
that's awesome.
Entitled some people are, just like stupid some people are.
Did you really say that in response?
I didn't. I don't remember if I said that to them. I don't think I did.
That's clever though.
But another thing that happened at the bars, which I kind of like will maybe throw in every now and then if I am like talking about the restaurant and bar stuff, is before at the BJ's in Burbank, a long time ago I worked there, like, busy restaurant, like you're waiting 45 minutes for a table and they finally get sat and the person's like, do you have anywhere more quiet? I'm like, yeah, that's what we made you wait 45 minutes so we can give you your choice of the entire restaurant, you freaking idiot, It's like, yeah, I know a place more quiet. It's called your house. You're not even there. Why don't you go there and eat? Like stuff like just like I've been trying to like, make it into stand-up bits where I can be like, I think people like leave when they check into a restaurant, they leave their brain in the car, just like dumb stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
That's so real. Okay, but let me go back to so was there ever a specific moment where they were like, hey, I got to talk to somebody above you, like get me your manager, that you can think of? Yeah. Does that happen a lot to you?
It had happened back when I worked at Beaches. Yeah. Oh yeah. Has happened.
Why?
Numerous times because I'm not like, I don't kiss their ass.
Yeah.
That's because I'm just like, and they say, I don't know why. I don't know what specific happened, but I do remember definitely multiple times of people like, oh, can we talk to the manager? Sometimes I think it wasn't necessarily all my fault, like the food, because like I said, some of these corporate restaurants, they set you up for failure. Like
they do.
Okay, well, make sure you give them bread. Okay, but we have no bread. Oh, we have no plate to put the bread on. Oh, we have soup. We have no soup spoons. It's like, what am I supposed to give them then? You know what I mean? And then people just waiting out on me, like, well, and so you're the one who gets the blame for all of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But definitely lots of times they want to talk to the manager. I'm not sure how. There's been times where it's like my attitude, but also a lot of times there's just like things out of my control. It's like, well,
sure.
And that's when I'm like, yeah, I'll get the manager because I also want that to change. Like, tell them, like I'm on your side. I want the things I need to do my job.
I would love bread plates, actually. Give me a second. Yeah.
But times it's been like attitude where I'm like, I'm like, yeah, well, they said this, or I didn't do that. They're just crazy, whatever. I don't know.
It's a confidence move, though. I feel like to not be the sycophantic, like, oh, whatever you need, like I'm a genie in a bottle, whatever you need. I mean, I do think that is what checks customers of like, I'm a whole ass person. Like you will not, I don't know where you thought you were speaking to me any old kind of way, but like, I'm a human. Like, and threatening you that like meet me outside kind of bullshit. I'm like, in what universe, my dude? Like, in what universe? I don't get it. Was there ever a last straw moment where you were like, flip a table, I'm so done at any of these jobs?
Oh man, I guarantee there have been, but it's not the customers, it's the establishment. It's like at BJ, they just ran so shitty. Like I said, you're seeing me 5 tables at once, but then you don't have anything I need to get my job done, to do my job. Whatever. Like we did not have glasses. It's like oh, they're getting washed. We don't. And it's like just different stuff where it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like you're screwing me. You're literally screwing me. Like what do you, and not doing anything about it or caring even at all because it just happens the next day and the next day and the next day. Like food taking 45 minutes to come out, like just stuff like that. Like what am I supposed to do? Do
you remember a moment where you like walked off in real time where you were scheduled to be there till 2 a.m. and you were like, nope, this is it for me?
Oh, no. I don't think so.
Not your thing. Okay.
I don't think so. There was so once was this after high school, so my friend got a job. We didn't know what it is back, it was like early 2000s and they're like, we see some job somewhere and it's like, oh, sales, you can make this money. And it's basically just telemarketing. And we didn't know. So me and him both show up there. We both, I guess like a job. We're 19 years old. We have to wear like a suit and tie to work, dress shirt and tie to work just to make cold calls. And by the end of the week, like we didn't make it a week. So the last day we did, and I was like, and we didn't go to lunch. I'm like, I'm not going back. And I just didn't go back. And both of us didn't go back. And so then we had to get our paycheck the next week, and mine was bigger than his. And he's like, well, what the hell? Why come is mine short? He's like, well, because you didn't work the full day. He did. But we both didn't go back after lunch. But I got paid as if I did. But that was one time. That was the first. I remember when I was like, yeah, no, I can't do. I mean, after one day, maybe one day, okay, I think maybe tomorrow will be better now. I understand what's going on. But there's no way I understand how anybody would last more than 2 days at one of those telemarketing jobs. It was crazy. And we were just, at one point, we were just screwing each other the whole time. Like, we were calling friends. Like, it was bad. But it was like, this is not worth even going back from lunch. I can't even finish the last half of the Friday.
Oh, it's brutal. Shout out to previous guest Rachel McDowell, who talked about how the most well-paid job in her town was a telemarketing job. And she said they would call in bomb threats into the building so that and your friends would do it so nobody would have to go back to work. That's how awful it was because you'd get paid for that time, but you'd be outside smoking cigarettes or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, the God bless the people that do that. That's like, so audience, if anybody calls you from telemarketing, you can politely decline. But some of them just want you to like chit chat on the phone so that they don't have to just hang up and start the whole process over again. Like, so just be nice to the people.
I try to decline politely.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of these like homeowners this and that. It's like, I don't own a home. Oh, okay. And sometimes they're rude and they hang up without even like, they don't even say bye. It's like, they get mad because maybe they're mad that they got bad intel. I got a bad number or something. But I'm like, I'm not a homeowner. And they just hang up. Or sometimes like, okay, I'll take you off the list. I'm like, thank you. But yeah, I try to be polite to them and people who ask for change on the street. I always say, no, sorry. Just because a long time, I forget who the actress was. I think she was the mom from Spanglish. She's been in a lot of stuff. I think that was her. Remember, I used to watch Oprah a lot. When I worked at one of these bars, 3 o'clock, Oprah would turn the TV on behind the bar, Oprah. There's no one in the bar. I'd order a hamburger. I'd watch Oprah. And then 4 o'clock, the bartender would come on and I'd leave. So I'd watch Oprah every day, like for like a good year. And this one actress talked about how she was homeless one time. And she said the worst part about being homeless is just the dismissal. People act like you don't exist.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst part. So ever since then, whenever someone asks panhandling, I always say, no, sorry, something like that.
Well,
I try to acknowledge, hey, I know you're a person, but I'm not giving you my money.
I've heard that a lot actually from formerly unhoused people that they've interviewed post who have said part of what sets you into that depression spiral is because you become invisible. And so I've heard it said similarly. But yeah, I agree. Okay. So have you ever personally told a customer to like F off? I know you said that you've had people kicked out of the bar, but have you like gotten into verbal fisticuffs with a customer before?
Not, yes, I guarantee I've said something. I did say this, but it was taken the wrong way. I didn't mean it that way, but, there's people hanging out. It was like the DJ had some people were hanging out that weren't. It's like, okay, you guys need to get outside. And I remember just like going up to them because they're being loud and they're like talking, being loud. Lights are on, everyone's out, the door's shut. Yeah, you guys got to leave also. And so I was like, hey, get the fuck out, like that. But the guy took it so. I think he was also like thought I was disrespecting his friend who was a DJ. And he got what and gets all mad. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna blah blah. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, all right, dude. And that became a whole thing. And I don't think he's been back since then. But that time I did say, get the fuck out. And then he took it so the wrong way. I was like, I honestly didn't mean it that way, to be honest.
But now I do.
But once yeah, exactly. Once he starts threatening me again, and I'm like, I'll do this and that. And I'm like, okay, seriously, this is why I should have said it even meaner.
Yeah, you jackass. Okay. Do you tip?
Yeah. Do I tip?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually over tip. Not over tip, but no, I don't over tip because some people really go too much. I'm like, it's like, what's the point of me even giving you a discount at this point? Because you could just pay full price based on how much you tip. But yes, I definitely tip and nowadays, which I kind of don't like because I feel pressure, but I definitely do it. It's like takeout. Like I always, even if it's takeout, I'll just leave like $1. Sometimes it's like, 20%. It's like, dude, I'll leave it. There's a place which I love in the Valley, in Burbank, Poquito Mas. I go there 3 times a week probably, and I literally have to bust my own tray. They have like a station where you go and put your plate there and do this, and I still like tip $1 just because they know me, and but still I'm like, some of this is tipping. I understand from a person who makes tips and who works on that, and I understand the people who think tipping is out of control, and it is very much. But I definitely tip service, food service, takeout, delivery for sure. This weekend at Pachanga, I didn't leave cash for the maid, but I had like a comp card that had like $10 on it, so I left that, which I hope they realize is a gift card and not like a door key, or who knows, or throw it away. Okay. The hotel maid I need to be better at. I don't always.
I'm inconsistent with that too, especially if I'm only staying for one night. But my mom is so good about leaving a tip every single day. And I need to get better about that because I've read that is like the difference maker for so many people that are in hotel service. So yeah, I should be better about that too. Do you ever not?
I will try to do it. Like I'm going to this place in January, 2 of these places, casinos I do, which it'll be like my second and third time going to these places, and it's the same hotel, it's the same, and there I will definitely try to make sure. Just who knows, just like, hey, we like that guy, that comedian, he's the one that actually tips us. So those I definitely will try to go out and make sure I remember and do it. But I'm definitely not consistent.
Look, I can tell you as someone who, again, as I keep mentioning, I worked at a comedy club. The comics who would tip us or who would just make an effort with us. Ooh, we used their first and last name, and the comics who didn't, we talked about them more. So yeah, I can confirm that the hotel is for sure being like, Jonathan Flanagan tips, bring that dude back, because it does matter. You want your staff happy, so I get it. Do you consider 15% an insult?
If I get 15%?
Yeah, if you give it.
No. If I don't really ever get 15%. No matter. So, I mean, I don't think it's the insult. It's just funny. I used to say, especially working in the corporate restaurants, is the Mexican five. Like a Mexican family will always leave $5, which could be $100 bill, could be a $20 bill, whatever. It's gonna be like $5. And I never took it insulting. I'm like, that they're making the effort. Like it's it's just like words. Are they insulting? No, take it in context. Yep. And yes, 5% on a $5 on $100 bill is 5%, not a good tip. But that's why I knew they were going to leave, and they left it because they're trying to make an effort. Like, hey, look, I'm trying to tip you. Like to them, they're doing a good thing, and it's like I don't get offended by any of that when it's me receiving. Me giving, I don't remember the last time I gave 15%. I mean, 18 to 20, and usually I don't even do the math. You're just like if it's between 15 to $20, I'm leaving $5. You know, if it's between 20 to 30, I'm leaving, 6 or 7, whatever. And I just kind of do that. But
that's what I do too. Yeah.
20% is usually standard.
That's what I agree with. Has there ever been a moment where you haven't tipped because someone was like disrespectful, or you had some sort of negative interaction with the customer service worker on their side?
No, I wish. There's some times I wanted to, or not even that there's negatives. It's like they just was terrible service. And I won't leave as much as I would have, but I still tip. But it's like, honestly, you didn't give good service. I saw you one time.
Yeah.
There's no reason, but yeah, I still do, unfortunately.
Okay, and then
there's no sweat off my back, whatever.
Yeah, and do you take it personally when people stiff you?
Depending on the person, honestly.
Okay.
I think especially if they pretend like they're not going. I don't know if they act all big and stuff, act like so. Oh, you want trying to buy? Let me buy this person a drink. Let me do that. And it's like that. Yeah, for sure. Like then, dog, don't if you don't there's people who be like, oh man, I'm sorry, I don't have this money, and it's take it anyways. Here, I'll take it. I was like, here, and then they shorted for the drink. But I'm like they're this guy's just a young kid. He's fucking broke, and he thought he can get a drink for $10 when it's like 17. I was like, I could take it anyway. I'm like, what am I just gonna throw it away? It's like. But then if a guy is like, oh, he bought all this stuff, uses credit card, but it's a $100 bill and then doesn't leave a tip, and it's like, well, he's a jerk. Like that guy who didn't even pay for the full drink is not a bad dude.
Yeah.
This person who literally bought is, even though he paid for the drink.
I totally agree with that. Okay. And last question in this section, who is the worst customer you've ever interacted with, or an archetype of who the worst customer would be?
Oh man. There's so many.
I hate that answer because it's so true.
I mean, like I said, when it comes to service, in food service, in a corporate restaurant, things like that, women are just. There's even the movie Waiting. Remember that movie?
Oh
Waiting?
Yeah, I make reference to it all the time.
So there's a small part in there where they go and screw with this person's food because he's a jerk, right?
Yep, they put pubes in it.
They don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. They don't even reference it. They kind of just pan and show. It's just a quick little show. They have a whiteboard where it says bitches and jerks, something like that, and it has all these checks for the female, the women, and then 2 for the guys. Because for whatever reason, like I said, men we're idiots. We don't, we're not complicated, and our beers are cold, our food is warm. For the most part, generalizing. They don't have much to complain about, For women, there's a lot more entitlement, things like that. I don't know what, a lot more things why, who cares? Why does that matter? Whatever it is. Okay, I have less ice in my water, yeah, just wait, it will have less ice and more water, that simple, where it's just, so once again, female teachers can be, depending on the setting, the worst to do, or just in comedy clubs, a bachelorette party, or it's going to be the worst.
Yes,
something like that. So
yes,
that same kind of thing. I don't know. Just entitled people in the nightclub scene. It's going to be ghetto people celebrating their friend's birthday, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's just entitlement, no tact, things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think unrealistic expectations is kind of what I'm hearing you say, of just setting the bar. You want Michelin service at a Chili's. And it's my dude, that's not what this experience is. You're not going to drop $1,000 here. So you're not going to get that experience. Like, I think people don't manage their expectations correctly for the venue. And like a nightclub, are you really going there to befriend the bartender? Like, that shouldn't be your goal.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't
Well, it's just entitlement, and then like I think ignorance. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people, I feel like I sometimes tell people at the bar, like, is this your first time at a bar? Like it really seems like you've never done this before. Like to the point
So
of like
fucking
not knowing to give me your credit card, and I like or just
Yeah.
anything. Like can people have asked? These are legit questions they get. Like, do you have shots? Yeah, I mean, first of all, anything can be a shot. If you drink it in one drink, like it's a shot, like whatever. But and they're like, how much are shots? I'm like, well, shot of what? You know, and I tried making that a joke in my sentence. Like that's like if I went to Mason, like, how much are pants? Like, well, what kind of pants do you have? You know,
How much
like
are
that's
pants?
somebody who's never bought a pair of pants before. How much are pants? This person has never bought a drink before. Like, how much are shots? So things like that. Like, well, shot of what? Or just different things. Like, have you never done this process? Like, so even just paying, giving your card, or how to run, or open a tab, like things like that. It's like, have you never done this before? It's really weird. So it's just some things are ignorance, some things are entitlement. But when those things combine,
That's it.
forget it.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
worst customer, the entitled idiot. Yep. Okay. Well, folks, we're going to move on to the good stuff. We hope you saved room for dessert. What is the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working?
Oh wow. I swear
Everyone has trouble with this question, and it makes me sad.
I've got like a gift or something like that.
Okay.
Or like, yeah, brought in like things. Say we've like talked about something in the past and like, oh yeah, I'll bring you some, like whatever. Like, oh, there's some smoked meat I'd make, you know, whatever, something like that. I think
Yeah.
things like that have happened, like gifts.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
Yeah. There's some customers who just regulars that like they're just nice people who come in. It's almost sometimes feel like, oh, you're just coming in to hang out, you know, and say hi. Not like you don't even really need anything. You know, you might get one beer, you know, something like that. Which I think that's that's something you're giving your time to somebody,
Yeah.
you know, your energy.
I agree with
I'm
that.
trying to think.
Just coming to kick it is nice. Like I would agree. Time and
Yeah,
energy.
I think food. People, especially at the bar in Hollywood, there's times when people, there's like some regulars that sometimes they'll show up with like a pizza from like the two doors over for like all the employees, like, you know, the door guy, the bouncers,
on.
the bartenders, stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's really lovely. I should do that more. There's not really a bar that I go to regularly, but I should just drop off cookies or something.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Okay.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah. Thoughtful. Yeah. I really appreciate that too. Okay. What's the best tip you have ever gotten? Monetary, not like life tip.
Don't. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or you can tell me that. I mean, whichever one, but I meant monetary.
I'm kidding. How much was? I don't know. There's one I remember. Oh, I forgot this job, like catering. I used to bartend this like wedding catering place.
I knew it. That's why I gave you 14. I knew it. Okay.
I remember that this one day, it was like, oh, it was like a Christmas party for some like company, and it's an open bar, and some guy like, how much for the rest of that bottle? And it's like, you know, half a bottle of Patron. It's like, well, it's an open bar. I'm going to charge the person who's paying the bill. You can take it if you want. And he throws like a 50 or 100 or something like that. I'm like, all right, but it's like, I'm still like the person's paying for the bill. I take the bottle. You know, it's being paid for. There's somebody paying at the tap at the end of the night. You know, so things like that. I mean, like I think maybe $100 probably was a.
That seems
Yeah,
to be the
$100
general
probably.
answer. That's the monetary amount that most people remember. I mean, obviously, if you get tipped $1,000, you're going to remember that. But usually, 100 is like you're
Yeah,
like,
oh,
oh
yeah.
shit, yeah.
No, yeah, I want to one day be able to be successful enough to be like, you know, do that. Like you change the person's week.
It's so
Yeah,
nice.
like-
Yeah. Okay. That's the bit. I totally agree. Okay. What's the best lesson you've personally learned from working in customer service?
Oh man.
Not a lesson you would have already
Best
known from being raised the way you were. I mean, something that you took
sure.
customer service for you to know.
I don't know if this is something I learned or just absurd, but it's something I do tell people when I'm like out with them, even my parents, other people. Were like, I'm like they know what they're doing. This isn't their first day. You know what I mean? Like people always seem to like, let me. I was like, they'll be back. They know what they're doing. You don't need to, you know, whatever, like that kind of thing. Like it's not their first day. Assume that they know what they're doing. Obviously, every now and then there are people who don't know what the hell they're doing at their job, but you give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty much it. It's like just trust they know what they're doing.
I've never had that response before. I really appreciate that. Like this is not their first day. They're going to be okay. That's great. Yeah. And then final question in this section, what's one piece of advice you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Ooh, I mean, that's kind of like, so that's when I said I've been talking about more on stage. That's what I started doing maybe 3 weeks ago, is making these reels on Instagram. That's basically that same thing. It's different. It's one specific thing. I mean, each reel is like 30, 45 seconds, and it's basically, there is a clear communication breakdown between the consumer, the customer, and the worker kind of thing, especially in the restaurant industry and bars and service industry. And it's kind of that. And so each reel is something different about that. For a customer thing, I think if I just say one thing to every customer, it was like, you're not the only person here. Like, remember that. Look around. You're not the only goddamn person in this restaurant. So whatever you think, like, I don't know, like, you're even this at a bar, which is like, well, you're not the next person anyway. So I know you think you're waiting, but I guarantee that person there is waiting longer than you, or whatever. And the same thing at a restaurant. It's like, you think you're the only table here. And whatever you're thinking you want that much more attention from us, that means you don't care about those other people. It's not me. It's you don't care about them, because you're taking their server away. You're taking their service away from them.
Yeah, like, you're getting paid anyway. So, like, I got to be here all night. Like, and guests have shared this before, where I'm not, like, Josh, actually, your buddy Josh on the podcast said when he was a bartender at an airport, so many people would run up and be like, I'm about to miss my flight. I need to blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm here for the entire shift. Sounds like a you problem. Like, I can't, this is as good as it's about to get, because all these people in front of you are in front of you.
Yeah. And guess what? Next thing, if I help you first, then they're going to be running to their plane.
Correct.
Just because you didn't plan well.
Yeah, I agree. So you're not the only person here is great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jonathan, how can people get your new album? Remind us of your IG, give us your website, give us all of the things so that my audience can get to know you better.
The album Dumber Than I Look is streaming anywhere you stream anything. You can stream it for free on any platform. There is a couple jokes about restaurant, I think, in there. If you look at the titles, you might be able to figure something out. Check out my reels on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, also YouTube Shorts, at John Flanagan, JONFLANNY. Those are all, like I said, about about just advice to people who are going out to a bar or restaurant, basically. And then realgoodcomedy.com is my website. Check that out.
Okay. And then when's the next live show? I know that you're about to go on tour, but when is the next live LA's storytelling show that you are
Trigger
doing?
Warning.
Trigger Warning.
Trigger Warning it's the second Saturday every month. And there's always good shows and, like I said, fun lineups. It's everyone does a clean set and a dirty set, basically. It's a lot of fun. At the Glendale Room in Glendale.
Okay. Super fun. Okay. Well, folks, we're going to drop your checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen. It actually does help with the algorithm. And it will also help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind, and will be catharsis for those of us working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here at Service from Hell, send us your receipts to servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. We do always love hearing from y'all. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thanks for being on, Jonathan. You were lovely. It was so nice chatting with you. Go get Jonathan's album.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate all the stories. Go find him on Instagram. Find him on all the things. We'll see you next week, folks. Good night. Yay, it recorded.
Brought back some memories that I've forgotten about.
That's my favorite thing is the number of people who then, like, I'll get a DM like a week later that's like, oh, damn, this other job. Josh kept doing that. He was like, I forgot about this job and this job and this job. And I was like, yeah, when we're creative, man, this podcast came out of working at the Comedy Store, where I was like, this is so hard. Like, how are we all just like taking it on the chin all the time? So yeah, I was
How
like,
long did you work there?
Only 3 years. So I started in,
that's a long time.
Yeah, it was a lot of time.